Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to learn about type conversion in C. What is type conversion is when you are trying to convert one data type to another data type. That is nothing but your type conversion. The same thing sometimes we'll call it as typecasting. So both are same, which is very small but also important in all the programming languages. Okay. So first we'll see what are the different type conversions are there. So type conversion in C is a process of converting one data type to another data type. And as I said, as you know, it is divided into two types. One is implicit conversion, one is explicit conversion. Implicit conversion, I had set it as automatically, and explicit conversion is nothing but your manually. So automatically is the compiler itself. If it will convert one data type to another data type, then that is implicit conversion. If the user is forcibly converting one data type to another data type, then that is nothing but your explicit conversion. That is why I had specified it as automatically and manually over there, right? So type conversions are two types. First one is implicit and second one is explicit. So what is implicit conversion? Implicit conversion is done automatically by the compiler when you assign a value if of one type to another. So that is generally implicit conversion can be done from lower level to higher level. That is, if I had given something like a integer, I wanted to convert that into float, then compiler will automatically convert it into the floating type of values. Okay. So for example, if you had assigned int value to the float type, so hash include stdio.h is your preprocessor directive. Then we are starting with our main. Then what did I do? Float my float. I took one variable, data type is float, and variable name is my float, and I have assigned value as 9. Okay. And what I was trying to do, I was just printing that my float value, and I had used a percentile f because we are trying to print the floating point value. But what did the value I had given there? Integer I had given. So, and then return 0, that is because I had given integer main. If you are giving void main in the code, then you need not write the return statement. Okay. So when you try to, so now what I'm doing, I'm giving the integer value and converting that into the float. We are not converting, but compiler is going to convert it. So this type of situation is nothing but your implicit type conversion. So for this, if you will get the output as something like 9.000 like that, you will get. So actually it should print 9, but you will get the output as 9.00 because the compiler is going to convert automatically that integer 9 to the floating point value. So this is your implicit type conversion. And next comes your explicit type conversion. Explicit conversion is done manually by placing the type in parentheses in front of the value. See, for example, you just consider 5 by 2. You should get the value as 2.5. Okay. So now what we are trying to do, consider our problem from the above example. We can now get the right result, including studio. Okay. Sorry, hash include stdio.h and then starting with your main. What we are trying to do, manually we are converting integer value to the float. Okay. So float sum is equals to 5 is an integer value, 2 is also an integer value, right? So that time what will happen? You should get 2.5, which is an floating point value. So forcibly you are dividing 5 by 2, whatever the answer it is getting, that is being converted into the float. So here this indicates the conversion of your explicit. So you have to write, like, you should specify the data type into which you wanted to convert. So now what will happen when you will try to print that sum value, you will get something like 2.5. If suppose you doesn't keep any value there, that is you are forcibly not converting it into float, then you will get just a 2. Okay, just a 2 you will get. So that time it is not actually correct answer, right? Sometimes you may get like something like 2.999. So that in that cases there is a big difference, right? 2.5 and 2.9, almost 4 differences are there. So that can be avoided by using this explicit type of conversion, right? So this is regarding your implicit and explicit type conversion. So when you do this code, you will get the output as a floating point value 2.5. The same thing if you do in your previous program, you will just get something like 2.00, right? So then the next we are having what is the main function and what are the command line arguments. So what are the rules that has to be used for writing the main function and what are the command line arguments we'll see. So the main function is a starting point of program execution in all the programs, programming languages. The main program in C is a critical function that marks the beginning of the program execution. Since C language is sequentially executed procedural language, the statements or instructions written in the main in C are executed sequentially in order it is written. So what are the statements in order you are writing? If the C programming follows that particular order only. In simple terms, the main function in C is the entry point of any C program. And the main function can call various other functions. Initially, the operating system gives control to the main function. So always your execution starts from your main. Okay. So when the main function in C calls the function, it passes control to the called function for its execution. So if you write the one function, in that n number of functions you can write, right? So after entering into the main, whenever you will call some addition, subtraction or multiplication code, it will, your control from main, it will move to the particular called function. So after the entire execution of that calling function is completed, the function return backs again to the main. So how many number of functions you are writing, all those will be called in your main, right? So your cursor will go from main to the concern called function. Again, it will come back to the main function only. So once all the work is done, then only it will quit from your main. That is all the compilation and execution part, it will be done once you'll quit from your main. So once all the statements in the main function in C are executed, the program is completed, which means only then the program will be completed, right? The main function in C is user defined. Hence, we can also pass parameters to the main function. So if you are passing parameters to the main function, that indicates that you are trying to give some values to main function. So that is nothing but your command line argument, which we'll see in the next slides. So next, the main function in C starts with an opening braces and ends with an closing braces. So hash include stdio.h. Then in the previous slide, I had shown int main, normal parentheses, and then in the next line, you are trying to open with the flower brackets, right? So all the functions are going to start with your flower brackets, and it can return an int or void data type. Okay. So the operating system hands over the control to the main function for the execution of other functions. And it is the function where the program execution starts, which we had already discussed. Always your main function will take the lead of starting the execution of your function. And the name of this function should be main only, not nothing else. So always your Java program or C++ code, whatever it may be, always your program will start with main. Okay. Next, the main function always return an integer value or void. So as I said in your previous program, that conversion program, I had used int main, so I had given return 0 at the last statement. If you are using void, nothing is going to be returned. Okay, the main function is called by OS, not by the user. So once the compilation is done, the OS will call the main function of the program. No need, you need not call any main function, right? And then next, coming to your command line arguments, the command line arguments are passed from the command line, right? These arguments are handled by the main function. So as I said no just now, you can pass parameters for the main function. So this is how you can pass the parameters for your main function. Int main, int argc, char argv. So what is this argc and what is this argv? Here argc counts number of arguments and it counts the file name as the first argument. So always your argc will be your file name. And the argv contains total number of arguments. The first argument is the file name always. And argv is a pointer array which points to each argument passed to a program, right? So to support command line arguments, you need to change the structure of main as given follow. So you just simply can't write int main and normal brackets and then your flower brackets, but you need to follow these, you need to follow these parameters. Okay. So when you give some parameters for your main, then that is nothing but your command line argument. So when you will give this type of command line arguments for your main, the execution process will be little different. So after compilation of your code, when you are trying to execute it, you need to pass the values at that moment only. Not after execution starts, it doesn't ask you like enter A and enter B value. If I'm writing a command line argument for add, whenever I'll compile, add a dot C, right? But space, I have to provide the values also there only, 3 space 4. Then whenever you click on enter, these 3 and 4 will be copied into your program. You will get directly the output, right? So these are nothing but your command line arguments, and this process is, especially these command line arguments, has to be done with your terminals, right? So generally your Linux and all, it will be obeying. But dev C++ like that, if you use any editor, sometimes it will not be accepted, right? So this is regarding your command line argument. So that's all for today's video. Okay, thank you.